My name is Amy Bloch. I'm the Executive Director for Catholic Charities here in Northwest Iowa. We serve about 24 counties. We go as far kind of over as Boone, Iowa, all the way up to Algona and kind of down in the Carroll area. We have actual office locations in Sioux City, Carroll, Fort Dodge, and Spencer, Iowa, but we serve all of the people in all of those counties. We primarily provide mental health counseling, but then we also do some immigration work. We then also do family crisis outreach as well.
All right. Well, I know that we're kind of here to talk a little bit about some mental health and dealing with natural disaster with the flood that we had here in Spencer. So I guess to start off with, what are like some signs that a person should maybe watch for in themselves or with the people around them that they may be struggling?
Right. I think anytime after a natural disaster like a flood occurs, it's pretty normal to experience some things such as some feelings of sadness, some feelings of fear, maybe having problems sleeping or eating, the feeling of loss after experiencing all of those. Those are pretty normal feelings. Even things, when I was talking to some folks there, they might not remember their phone number or address or just basic cognitive functions. That's pretty normal when you go through an experience like the flood, which is something so significant. Eventually, those things should start going away. The time frame is a little bit different for everybody. And everybody experiences it a little bit different, really based on their history, whether they've had a history of other traumas or other mental health concerns, or maybe even experienced other natural disasters in their lifetime. And that's where it's a little bit different for everybody.
So what can an individual do to kind of help manage or maintain their mental health during this time?
I think some of the important things are try as much as possible to eat. We always, of course, eating healthy is important, of course, but just reminding yourself to eat. It's important to take care of your body, drink water, try to get sleep. And that can be really challenging and difficult too, because so much is on your mind. It could be, how are we going to fix our house or my family's house, or how are we going to afford this? And those racing thoughts keep coming. But as much as you can, try to get sleep. That's a really important piece. Paying attention to what your body is telling you, not trying to get through it alone, but using the support that you have around you is another really important thing, in talking about the experience with other people.
What can you do to maybe help someone else to make sure if they're struggling to what are some signs to watch for in that regard?
Right. I think one of the most important thing is to reach out to people. And, if you notice that they're maybe isolating a little bit, or they're not reaching out to other people, to do that, kind of insert yourself. If you say somebody, oftentimes what we do is, what do you need? What can I help you with? And you might get I don't know, I think we're good for now. Or, we do a lot of, what can I do to help? Sometimes it's as much as just showing up with food. Just don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do. Just show up. I've got 2 hours. I'm here right now. What can I do? Because sometimes people don't know what they need help with in the moment. I'm here. You know what? Let's just go through and let's just do this for these 2 hours. So sometimes when you know people, to just kind of insert yourself or just do those things.
So we've heard a lot about survivor's guilt and that kind of stuff. And so, we know that there's folks that weren't affected. So maybe what are signs that maybe you'd see from somebody that maybe would be having some survivor's guilt?
Yeah, it's interesting, you read sometimes about survivor's guilt, and they talk about it's kind of like having PTSD of the disaster plus guilt on top of it. And so it can be just as traumatic, sometimes even more, than individuals who have gone through it. and it's a very natural response. And sometimes it's having flashbacks of what happened, having those memories, having dreams about it, about what occurred. And also, you might experience a lot or see a lot of maybe irritability or anger or feeling what's wrong with me. And so those are a lot of the things that we sometimes see with families or individuals, as well as people who maybe keep going, trying to do things to help other people and just not slowing down, until you might almost see like a crash because they just keep going and not really stopping.
Is there something that like you could do to help somebody that you see in that situation?
Kind of in that mode. Yeah. You know, I think it can be hard because sometimes we might want to, our tendency might be to reassure them and say, you know, which isn't, I'm not saying don't do that, but, you know, it's not your fault. And I'm just glad that your house is okay. And I'm not saying not to do that. At the same time, know that that isn't going to take their feelings away. And so I think the thing to do is to listen to them, just like if you're the one who experienced the disaster, sometimes people can't fix it. Just listen to them, support them, say, I can imagine that that must be really difficult for you. Thank you for helping me. Just be a support to them.
Awesome. So what would be, kind of going back to that person that was involved in it, what would maybe be some normal feelings or emotions that they might have, either long-term, short-term?
Yeah. So I touched a little bit on some of the short-term, feelings that people might have. I think when it's like, when does it become to the point where maybe it's not so normal? When does it become something to get help for? Because I think sometimes normally what you might experience is anytime it rains, that fear might creep up for people, or you might hear a siren go off. You know, the first time the normal once a month siren goes off, what is that for? Or maybe, I was talking to a family and the dad wasn't able to stay in the shelter with the family. And every night those kids were so scared, why isn't dad with us? So some of those things are going to be normal and going to take time to go away. Those are very common symptoms. It's when those feelings become persistent and consistent and don't go away. Those are the things that we really look for, that it says, maybe I need to get some help and talk to somebody to learn how to manage them and make sure that they're not interfering in my life. Because once they start interfering in your life to the point where maybe it's interfering with your work or your relationships with people, those are the times then that it's important that we get help for them. So that's what I would say.
How can your agency help with that, and how do they go through that process?
Yeah. So Catholic Charities, we are offering free mental health services for anyone who's been flood affected. We want to be there as a resource and a support. Like I said, and whether that is somebody who's been directly impacted, it could be their child, it could be a first responder who has been providing that support. Because again, we know that also has its own difficulties in trying to be there and be available for people. And so they can either go to our website to get information and email us, or they can call our office and we'll work with you and get you in as soon as we can.
No referrals needed or anything like that?
No referrals needed. No. Nope. You just call us and let us know what's going on, and we'll get you in to talk to our therapists. We can also do that face-to-face, and we also are able to do that telehealth video, because for some people, maybe getting into the office is just not possible. So we can do that. We can do that if you've got a phone. We can do it video. We just want to make it as easy as possible for people.
All right, sounds good. Well, anything else that you want to add on your what you offer, or anything that folks should be kind of on the lookout for?
I think so. I think your questions were good and really covered it.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for doing the story, and hopefully people will take care of themselves and each other and they need help, get help.